Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to a brand new episode of Robot Wars episode reviews. We're on Heat E of Series 5. After coming off an episode with some good old action with Gemini and stuff, this time we have a relatively good heat with one blotch in it, which I'm sure we'll get to. Joining me yes, I know you're looking forward to it. Joining me today is Anderson9132.
Hey guys, I'm back! Yay!
It's been a while actually with you.
Yeah, the Extreme 2-second Annihilator I think was the last time.
I didn't even remember that. So much. Also joining me is Alexthehunted.
Number 57 on my Godzilla Ultimate Countdown list is Godzilla versus the Marshmallow People.
Is that?
Wait, we're talking about Robot Wars. Hello.
Is that the alternate name of this episode?
Yeah.
And also joining us is that Welsh bastard I know.
No.
I
don't want to do this.
Oh wait.
I really don't want to do this.
Oh wait, it's literally.
Look how much I love Wild Thing.
It's one battle. Oh wait, it's one battle.
But put it this way: you have a cake, and it's got cream and strawberries on top of it, and it looks delicious. And then you realise in the top corner of the cake, there's a giant turd stain. You're not going to eat the rest of the cake, are you, and just leave that bit out? No, you're going to throw the whole fucking thing in the bin. That's this episode.
Okay,
It depends on the cake.
Alternatively, you could just cut the slice off the. Alright, we're talking about cake now. This is getting stupid. Right. Yes, this is Heat E. Of course, as Owen mentioned, this is Wild Things Heat. Of course. Therefore, we should start talking about them, of course.
It's Series 4 Wild Thing with a useless disc on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan. I prefer the Series 4 design, personally. Just because
I agree.
The disc just gets in the way, and really, has the disc really done any damage to anything?
It's sliced Dominator 2's tyre open.
Is that it?
I think it legitimately was just a case of we've got 20 kilos to play with. Should we just put a disc on it? That's basically what I think.
Basically, right, it went from a wedge pusher to almost a box pusher because obviously the disc was there stopping anyone from going up the wedge. It just made them basically have a flatter front so they could push things along instead of getting underneath them. It was stupid.
Yeah.
I will say I do like this design. I think it's probably my favourite design of Wild Thing. That doesn't mean I think it's the best design. I think it's the best looking, not the best competitive.
Yeah, I mean, anything's a godsend from the Series 6 version. Wild Things Series 6.
This is a godsend to bloody the Series 6 version.
God, when you're comparing it to Dr.
Let's
Fist,
take our really low wedge and make it a reverse wedge.
no one will get underneath it except everyone. Oh man,
Not even make it a wedge.
I mean,
Make it a reverse wedge that can't be a wedge.
that's true. I mean, Wild Thing, out of all of the semi-finalists to Series 5, probably worked the hardest to get to its semi-final.
Yes.
It had two split judge decisions, one of which was against a first timer, and one against a robot that had never got past the first round previously. And
Was there ever any robot besides Wild Thing that had two split decisions in its heat?
I
No,
can't
so.
think of one.
I do wonder if Wild Thing's the robot with the most judges' decisions.
It probably
It
wouldn't
seems-
surprise me.
It's got to rank up. Well, actually, no, Razor's got to be up there too. Come on.
Yeah, Raze hasn't killed many robots, so there's probably a lot of judge decisions with them. Also, probably imagine like Tornado's probably had a fair few in the past.
Yeah, I think Sting has had a fair few as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of robots that have had them, but Wild Thing always comes across as one robot that always seems to have had a lot of them. Like, in my memory, like it has them against like Chaos 2, Razor. You know, there's been a few robots that had quite a lot of judge decisions against, and
In fact, Fear of Useless Trivia, its semi-final match in this heat against Napalm is its last victory that wasn't a judge's decision.
wow.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
And it was also the only heat final with a judge decision of Series 5. I mean, there were some that were very close to it, like Smidsy and Chaos 2, and almost Fluffy and Pussycat, but that ended up being Fluffy's unreliability showing up. But Wild Thing, it's one of those robots that just, again, it just never seems to want to die, does it?
Oh, that was that was one of the greatest things about Wild Thing, and what made it so unique was that it never died.
And I'm also rewatching back Wild Thing's fights, like all of them. It really does seem to be the comeback king kind of robot. Like it usually spends most of the first half of the fight getting its ass kicked, and then it just really comes back later on.
I mean,
I think it's because they geared it really low. So obviously, when most robots, obviously, in the first half of the fight, used up a lot of their energy and a lot of their battery power, Wild Things sort of mellowed out. So of course, by the halfway point, they were still perfectly fine and could come back and get those last little hits in.
Yeah.
It's one of them things.
I mean, it did it twice. It did it. That's both its judges' decisions in this heat, and also later on, when it was against 259 in Series 6, was also a very classic example of that. Where, I mean, it took a particularly a lot of beating in that one.
And the fight with Hypnodisc in Series 4 and
Chaos 2 and Chaos 2 in this series.
Yeah.
At rant time, that 259 match was perfectly fair. Wild Thing owned 259. Deal with it. There we go.
Well,
I wouldn't say Wild Thing
guys,
259.
guys, who would win, Wild Thing or Duck?
Oh, well, Doug probably because of modern technology.
Definitely. I would agree with that. But is there anything else I want to say about Wild Thing before we move on? Or
It's a sexy wedge. That's it.
a sexy wedge with a car hub on it.
I just wish, like I said, I love the look of the flywheel version of Wild Thing, but why didn't they just take the lifting arm from the previous series and give it a CO2 canister or something?
Well, I would have said not with the extra 20 kilos, not like a lifting arm, not CO2. Just make it like like give it a really big motor so it can actually lift other robots. And because what they could have done is really beefed up the front wedge so that the lifting arm was actually underneath, submerged in the wedge, so it could get under stuff.
Yeah, that could probably a bit like a more powerful version of the Big Cheese in Series 3.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I could probably see that going, actually. It doesn't have to be too powerful, just enough to kind of control robot. Because that's Wild Thing's main strength, especially in Series 3 and 4, was more control robot rather than being a flat-out destroying robot.
Exactly. And that's why I would have hated it if they come up with just another generic flipper. That would have been like, oh, really? Come on, guys.
I can tell you
come back with a box with a useless disc on it. God forbid that happen.
Oh, wait a minute. that also applies to Seg 2 as well. But yes, the runner-up of this heat was a robot who twice failed to make it past the first round, one of which was in a battle where Willoughby Cheese didn't even attack them, and also had Wheelosaurus in its heat, and somehow still managed to lose.
That fight was beautiful chaos.
It was the most bollocks battle ever, and I loved it.
And its other fight, in its other round one fight, was against Wild Thing, and it fights Wild Thing again, and it loses.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. 'Cause technically, this was a revenge fight in a way. Was Prizefighter Mach 2? That is the robot we have here, and they
technically it's Mach 3, but for some reason they didn't change the name.
Yeah, they had Prizefighter MK2, and then Prizefighter Mach 2.
Yeah, they technically did change the name, but they just changed the spelling of Mark to Mac. That's so fucking pointless.
I don't know why they did that. I mean, one thing I have to bring off the bat, everyone forgets this. I think has a spike on the back because it came in so handy so often.
Yeah.
I mean, dual weaponry usually does, but this I probably feel the most sorry for these guys out of all Heat finalists of Series 5.
Oh yeah, I've never seen a more well. Apart from Daisy Chopper, a more pissed off team with a judge's decision.
Although, unlike Daisy Chopper, they actually had some legitimacy to their pissed offness. Because Daisy Chopper was shit.
Yeah.
And I think, Prizefighter.
I think that really tickled Anderson then.
Yeah, well, it's true.
We're not holding back punches today, lads. We're fucking getting straight in there.
I don't care.
Want to say quickly, one thing I like about Prizefighter, this version especially, okay, I'll admit, its flipper wasn't the biggest flipper, let's be honest, it's tiny. But I actually quite like flippers like that, they're small, but they get into little nooks and crannies. So places which are hard to get to, they can still get to.
Hmm.
It's a bit like, for example, Raging Reality's flipper in Series 6. Yes, okay, it was really thin and spindly, but it managed to get in the right little areas just to flick something over. It's quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, it beat. Its first round, it beat a former semi-finalist. So
They're just a bit naff at self-fighting. That's all.
yeah.
And fairness, yeah, it was not just like a previous semi-finals in a few years ago. It was literally from the previous series. It was the number 16 seeds of all robots.
Yeah, and they took them out because they definitely held their own at least anyway. And then
Yeah, definitely.
I mean I don't know why,
And then Sergeant Bash ate their ass.
yeah. I love the little. I don't know why I just love the little flick on the alien because it's so like.
Little flick. I don't know what it is. I just like little flicks like that. I don't know
Well,
what
that's the
it
thing.
is.
Most little flippers
Like Beast of Bold.
prize fighters are usually more like little flicks that just to get the robot's wheels off the ground. But this one actually surprisingly had a bit of power to it.
Yeah, it's kind of what Reactor 2 in the last heat wished it had. Because Reactor 2, I think the reason why its flipper was was less powerful was because they had a lot of power going to that useless axe in the back. Whilst Prizefighter, thankfully Prizefighter mostly had its weaponry on the front, and the spike was really very secondary. The actual weapon at the front was their primary weapon.
Well, but also you forget that
Raging Reactor.
Reactor 2. Its flipper was also supposed to be a crusher.
Was it? No fucking way.
More of a clamp, because it had little teeth on it, so they called it a flamp. A flipper slam.
Flamp.
Well, to be fair, though, right? To be fair to them, it did work as a self-righting mechanism. That was awesome. Right? You should just bite the floor and throw itself back onto its wheels. I thought that was amazing.
It was good.
Is that the only instance of a tiny flipper actually self-righting a giant robot?
So yes.
Yeah, probably.
Reactor was built. Why are we talking about Reactor 2?
I made one analogy and you started going on a tangent, which we like tangents, it's good. But I mean, anything else?
You do realise we got Anderson here, don't you, James?
Yeah, I always forget when Anderson arrives. But anything else for Prizefighter?
And we got Tentijester.
Anything else for Prizefighter Mac 2, or should we move on to one of the?
The shells were later sold on eBay.
Oh, it was it 99p or 50p?
That was the starting price.
Starting
99p was the starting price.
Wow.
And they were all sold to the same person, and they still exist to this day.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And one of them set fire.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, not one of the old ones. The actual new one that was meant to appear in Series 8 and actually qualified until they blew up in the pits. Literally.
What a shame. I feel like these guys just didn't get any luck, did they?
I would have liked to have seen Prizefighter back. I mean, yeah, it was a different team, but
I mean,
from what we've seen of Prizefighter Series 8 version, it looked decent.
it's like every series have had bad luck. Like in Series 3, the glove got stuck on the wall. In Series 4, they lost to fucking Wheelosaurus. In Series 5, they lose on a split decision to one of the seeds. And in Series 8, they blow up. It's such a bad track record.
Weren't they also going to enter the Series 3 version with just a flywheel on the back?
What? The Series 3 one with the 10,000 ground clearance on it.
Yeah.
The one with Craig Charles on the front.
Oh yes, of course, it was Craig Charles. Yes. I mean, obviously,
I definitely remember hearing that somewhere. I actually think it might have been on this podcast.
I think JP might have mentioned that as well or something.
No, it was Philippa saying it looked like Craig Charles on the front of the robot.
She legit thought it was. It wasn't, but no, it's meant to be Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but yeah, that was Prizefighter Mac 2, not MK2.
Still no explanation why I had the Spitfire on the front.
I'm not really sure why, actually, because it made sense in Series 3 with the Boxer, but then everything else the plane just appeared, and now they've just got a plane on it. Okay.
I thought it was because Prizefighter was the name of a type of plane.
Is it?
I think so.
It's weird how they went from Boxer to plane, though, with no explanation with it, but... okay.
I'll have to ask my dad, because he loves his warplanes.
Ah, okay. So next we have... I'm going to refrain from talking about a certain robot and delay it a little bit. We're going to talk about the Alien. next with...
Yay! I like the Alien.
It's an interesting robot with a very boring name. It's just... I always forget. I always mix up with that really shitty Alien from Series 3. That one with
Well, I don't get is what I don't get is like, you know, some robots you can sort of see why they call it that.
I don't know why
I
it's
don't
called
get
the
why
Alien.
it's called the Alien.
There's nothing really strange about the Alien, that's the thing. It's just it's a wedge on the front and a spinning arm on the back. It's...
Basically, what they did was they attempted to make they made something, whereas it looked boring, and in an attempt to give it personality, painted bits of it green, gave it some red eyes. Said, "Yep, that looks like an alien." Okay.
Didn't work, did it?
No, it didn't really work too well.
Work.
As I mentioned,
Also, I do think
Made up.
it was a good robot, but I do think the guy who built it was kind of overhyped with how powerful that spinner was going to be.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, it wasn't the most powerful spinner in the world. I mean,
Don't get me wrong, it was good.
I know, but
Not
it wasn't going to be like S3 levels, was it?
Series 6, it was pretty strong, but the problem was it lacked that wonderful R word, reliability.
Yeah,
It just, yeah.
it broke down to shredder. So, but
Yeah,
although they did start promising their first battle, especially against ICU and stuff, that was
oh,
that was hilarious to watch.
that was a great shot. That was.
It was amazing.
They literally just caused ICU to practically explode.
Yeah, and all the eyes
All
were
the
flying
fucking
everywhere.
eyes going everywhere.
That was hilarious.
And to be fair, it is one of the few vertical spinners that doesn't just rely on hitting the weapon against the wall to self-right. But then again, that's during the days where there was no way the vertical spinner would have the power
Yeah.
to do that. But yeah,
Also, a fun fact is, I mentioned this last tape, but Sarah Aspen is now with Tom from Team Tauron.
Yeah.
So that's
It is.
And they would go into BattleBots and reach the top 8 with Monsoon.
well.
Vertical bar spinning thingy.
I see where maybe Tom might have got some influence. Maybe is the Alien the spiritual predecessor to Tauron?
I very much doubt.
Well, film theory, that shit. I don't know, but thanks for watching.
Welcome to Film Theory, guys. Seriously.
I mean, I wouldn't.
That was terrible.
that was awful. That was fucking awful.
I can't do his voice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Unlike him, right? I'm actually a man, so it's hard to do a voice like his.
but what robot was his deal here?
inside my own ass.
Oh my god, that was the AV. That's the AVGN right there.
That's APDN.
No, it's not the AVGN because there was no swearing in it.
Fucking asshole. There we go. I mean, is there anything else we want to say about the Alien, or we're just going to start quoting Matt Pan all day now?
Have an interesting
again,
weapon, but very boring. There you go. How's that for an idea? It's very bland in design, but interesting weapery. There we go.
I can agree.
And once again,
It had pretty decent. I mean, for polycarb, it was pretty thick polycarb on it as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was decent. I mean, it didn't manage to take too much damage from anything, so... I mean, its ultimate problem was its self-righter, because it just got itself stuck on it. Which was... brilliant design.
Yeah. Well, they probably fixed it for Series 6, but in Series 5, it got stuck in a way where the self-righter was actually stopping it from self-righting.
It was actually exactly the same way that Cedric Slammer went out in Series 6.
yeah.
How the self-righter just got it stuck on top, and it was like, well, shit. Nothing you can do now, but...
I planned this out better in my head.
You play record scratch. You probably wonder how I got here. But of course, we have to talk about Napalm 2.
And just a thing about Alien, and yes, I am stalling for time, but Alien's still around to this day.
No,
Alien never got
we're-
that, still around. Yay.
Oh, Wayne, we are not stalling for time now. We're talking about Napalm 2.
And
Fuck
one more quick
you,
thing.
James.
One quick thing. Carl Asprin was also part of the Bulldog breed team sometimes as well. There we go.
Okay, now it's
Let's
now
talk
it's
about that for the next 20 minutes, shall we?
no. We are talking about Napalm. Fuck off. We are talking about Napalm 2. Do we
I
have?
don't want to talk about Napalm 2.
Well, we don't have to. We can just say it sucks and then move on. I mean, I'm actually. All right.
Actually, I'll be honest. I've got a nice 12-page essay on the importance of Napalm 2. If you guys all want to hear it.
Well, How high does
They
your
are
Honestly,
Yeah,
I don't,
this-
but honestly, I think you guys are a bit unfair. I don't think Napalm 2's that bad.
get out?
Honest, right? When it comes to Napalm 2,
I was lying.
team knew
I
they
know
weren't
you
going
were.
to win. The team knew that they weren't going to win. Let's be fair now. And
Yeah.
I think they literally just entered so they could get murdered by Warhog. We'll get to that. But yeah, it didn't happen.
All right, it's okay, Wayne. Calm down. What do you mean?
I think that's what
I
I think what it was.
It seems to be the thing of Napalm gets drawn against robots that should destroy it, and then it doesn't get destroyed.
Yeah, it's
I know.
a curse.
Inferno, Warhog, and yet suicidal tendencies of Warhog managed to rip its side off. Okay.
And Dominator 2 broke its chassis in half. Of course.
Yes.
The robot
With
was...
a spiked axe.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, we'll skip Napalm, because fuck it, but... Yes,
It's a large titanium hulled wedgie thing.
Yes, and this was the team representing... And this is a team that was chosen to represent women in Robot Wars. Kill me.
Well, I mean, to be honest, with Series 5, you got that, or
Winner's Revenge.
yeah.
I'll take Winner's Revenge, sadly. That's how low we've gotten.
Well, you've got the cat-free team.
Okay, Cat 3 then. We'll take Cat 3 over these two then. But, yeah, Napalm
Christ,
2...
even Series 5 Cat 3 was shite.
Yep.
They were all shite. Jesus, sorry.
Oh yeah, they were.
Yes, that was true. But, Napalm 2 sucks. We'll move on to a slightly better robot, of course. The greatest robot that should have made it past the first round. Velociriptor.
Oh, daddy.
Whole mouth turned into Mighty Mouse, and it was awesome.
Yeah, 'cause as soon as it
It's
became...
I find it really ironic. I think it must have just been the name was a curse because he has Velociriptor. It never wins a fight. Then he changes it to Mighty Mouse. It starts to win fights. But he builds an entirely new Velociriptor, and it still can't win a fight.
I mean, as soon as it became a furry, it started winning. Well, I say winning, more just running around from Chronic enough to make sure it breaks down. And not being flipped out by Chaos 2 is sort of the
It
only
was
things
a
that's...
finalist, and you can't deny it.
I'm not going to deny it, but I don't mean I would like it. But Velociriptor had the Saw this series, which did so much. So much to all the opponents it faced. All three of them. But including its Annihilator in Extreme, and that went just as well as it did here.
Yeah, I thought they only had 2 fights in
Oh, did it?
5 in Extreme.
What was its other fight?
Yeah, it had two fights over Series 5 in Extreme, but it fought 3 different opponents.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it had its 2 opponents, the Annihilator and the Alien.
It had Alien here, and it had Disco Inferno and Common Gesserix in the Annihilator. Mayhem.
With a sweet shot that knocked half the shell off. That was awesome.
that was cool.
That was beautiful. I mean, Alien... It's funny how Alien barely had to hit it to kill it.
I think Alien killed it before they hit it.
Yeah, they bumped into it and then hit it with a hammer, and then John Pierce thought that killed it. But it was dead like a few seconds ago. I mean, Velociriptor's reliability is low.
Actually, when I was at Robot Wars Live Grantham, Robots Live Grantham, Mega Mouse, and they were there. So I did talk to them about Velociriptor, and they said he said after Series 5 he wanted to destroy Velociriptor, so he literally just kept on running at full speed into a brick wall, and it would never die.
Of
But
course.
as soon as it was on Robot Wars, it would always die.
Of course that's the case, isn't it?
Oh, it's because he kept running into a fucking brick wall, the idiot. That's probably what it was.
No, this is after the series.
Oh, after the series, sorry, of course.
He was trying to kill it, but it wouldn't die after Robo Wars, because of course.
Yeah. Now you fucking work, you bastard.
And it never really died very often when it was Mighty Mouse either. So it just seemed to. Again, as Alex said,
Did it actually die at all when it was Mighty Mouse?
I don't think.
In the Tag Team Terror, it did.
It did, yeah. In the Tag Team Terror, it died just before it got pushed in the pit by Hydra.
So I
thought it got pushed in the pit and didn't die.
It did, but it was dead before it got pushed in there. You can see it literally not moving because Hydra basically pushes it on the edge and then nudges it a few times and then finally pushes it in. So
because the brand new shiny Velociriptor had died immediately.
Yes, it's quite funny actually because in that battle, right, it's brilliant. You see Trevor and his son swap controls for reasons, because that was going to help apparently. And then you see literally, a shot of Velociraptor dead again, and then you just see his son just like literally just shaking his head and turning away in disgust. It's absolutely hilarious. I don't know what. Just like, fuck's sake, again, it's just dead again, lads. It's brilliant.
And again, that Velociraptor became the current Mega Mouse, and it works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
don't call your robots Velociraptor.
I have to call bullshit on its stat board, though. Apparently its strength was fast, which is true, but it said with good control. Velociraptor has never been... The Velociraptor has never been controlled.
Was it car steering or something?
Yes, it's like shitty car steering. It doesn't work. Kilohertz proved it. Fucking Velociraptor has proved it. If you're ever planning on building a robot and you think about having car steering, you are a moron and you should not do it.
No.
Simple as.
I mean, all I remember from its fight in Series 4 was it just darting around the arena until Razor randomly grabbed it. That's like all I did.
Yeah. The only robot that half decently did alright with car steering in Robot Wars anyway was Onslaught.
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, that wasn't, exactly groundbreaking.
Yeah, the best it ever did was a heat final in
Series
main
2.
competition. Yeah.
And I'll say, I understand Kilohertz did alright in BattleBots, but let's be fair, BattleBots and robots are two completely different things. In BattleBots, you just drive forward and hope for the best.
There isn't a hole in the ground.
Yes, there isn't a great big hole in the ground, for example.
Yeah.
How the hell did Kilohertz win Best Driver Award in BattleBots? I've watched it countless times in BattleBots in its time, and it literally just drove around the arena and hit anything it could. That's not controlled driving, that's just going at it like a lunatic.
And once
Once
again, Anson's ranting about a robot that's not even in the heat. Brilliant.
Sorry, I apologise.
It's fine. We'll move
It's
on.
it doesn't even compete anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I'm delaying the inevitable. All right,
Yeah,
just there.
Please keep doing that.
You're talking about a robot that was retired in Series 5, so... by Series 5, I should say. But we'll move on to Warhog.
Enough about Kilohertz. Let's talk about Stegosaurus instead.
Nah, of course. Let's talk about Warhog.
You had one job.
One job and it couldn't do it. It's annoying
because they forgot to plug it in.
Yes, because you saw it in Series 4 and you thought this thing, if it was given against a robot that was like not very well built, Napalm, then it would actually able to do something. They get the opportunity, and they bollocks it up.
To be fair, they weren't exactly against two well-built robots in Series 4. They were against Dreadnought and Dark Destroyer. How the hell they killed themselves? Not those two, I'll never know. But there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Warhog annoys me.
Why were they Jewish?
What?
Why were they Jewish this year?
What? What are you talking about?
That fucking black hat that they put on Warhog.
It's supposed to be a military hat. It's supposed to be a military hat.
It's a military hat. It's got like like metal hats they wore in the war.
Yeah.
I read up somewhere that was meant to be a Jewish rabbi's hat.
No.
I can't. No, it was made out of a wok, so it was black. That's literally all the reason why.
It's actually kind of weird because I remember looking at the Series 4 version. It looks so naked without the hat for some reason.
Maybe they thought if we put something on that a good full body spinner like Ziggo was made out of, then the robot would work.
Yeah, that's
what made out of a wok. 20 kilo weight gap, guys. You make a hat and you put it on the robot.
It's literally like the episode of The Simpsons. It's just Warhog with a stupid hat on it. But it's got a hat.
It's literally just like how Magnetar qualified for Series 10. They tried qualifying for Pulsar. They were like, no, you're not getting in. He changes the name and colour, and it's like, new robot, perfect, bring it in.
This is my new robot, Warthog. Yeah, good enough.
Now with new hat.
It's like the Clark Kent disguise with the glasses. You're a completely different robot now. Take the hat off. Where did Warhog go? There's not much to say about Warhog because it was basically the same robot from Series 4 except now with a hat and slightly different colour scheme.
And heavier and not plugged in.
Yeah, not plugged in.
because apparently I think in Series 4 it got high-centered, that's what took it out. And in Series 5 I think they said it had hydraulics to help it steer.
Well, it got stuck on the flame pit, so
Yeah.
just take for that what you will, but...
Over Warhog and its knack for losing to shit robots. Because it lost to Dreadnought and Dark Destroyer in Series 4, lost to Napalm here, and loses to Come and Getorix in the next series.
It doesn't lose to Come and Getorix, because Come and Getorix was going insane.
Yeah,
Come and Getorix went through to the next round. Warhog did it.
Yeah. Actually, this thing was originally called Taz as well.
Yes.
With
I
3
would-
Zs.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Of course, there is one thing that we have to take from this as well, is that it's from Hull. So, I mean, that does it all, really, doesn't it?
All.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Warhog, one of the greatest disappointments of this series. Just for who it was against, particularly. All that wasted potential, and it didn't turn it on. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, for Christ's sake, you could have made sure that Napalm didn't get into the Annihilator.
Yeah, that would have been amazing to watch, but no, of course.
So then we wouldn't have had that beautiful, beautiful image of Refbot pushing Napalm into the narrator sideways.
No, that was Shouldn't pushing him in.
Was that Sean?
Yeah, it was Shouldn't. I mean,
I'm getting everything wrong in this section of the podcast. Ignore me.
it's fine. Let's talk about Thermidor 2 then.
Yay!
It's
What did you say it was? It was the drought or the flood?
I actually want to say this about Thermidor. I felt it was very disappointing in this series because obviously it came back in Series 4 and made it to the semis. It did really well, nearly beat Pussycat until its CO2 started running out. Came back in Extreme. In its first appearance in Extreme, it owned both Stinger and Behemoth. It also owned Napalm, obviously. But then also in Extreme, though, we also have it breaking down at random against Cerberus against Steel Avenger and Suicidal Tendencies, and it just died after being pushed into the CPZ by Splinter. So it was like, okay, it looks like it could do well, but it also looks like it's pretty shit, and unfortunately, it turned out to be the latter of that in the actual bloody series!
Well, the next 2 series.
Oh yeah, next 2 series. Sorry, yeah, of course, yeah, because Stinger tapped it in Series 6 and killed it somehow.
Yeah,
And then it came back to life somehow, and then drove down the pit because lol, I guess.
Yeah. Also,
It
this
did make for a really cute image of Thermidor just peeking out inside the pit, though.
actually that image is now used on the wiki for stub articles, which I love.
I know, it's beautiful.
One thing I find odd is on the stat board. I seem to have a lot of stat board facts in Series 5, but they seem to get them wrong quite a lot of the time for some reason in this series. In this series, they put one of the weaknesses as experienced competitor.
Yeah, I don't understand that. It's like, surely that's a good thing.
I thought by Series 5 that the stat boards were actually filled out by the teams.
Well, they clearly
this is-
fucked up some of them, because, I mean, they didn't make them all right.
You'd swear half of these stat boards were filled out by Stevie Wonder.
And even he'd be able to see how shit they are.
Yeah.
I mean, Thermidor 2's main weakness is reliability. Because it killed itself. It literally self-righted and then just stopped.
Yeah, I mean, surely exposed wheels would be considered a weakness. Limited CO2 supply, reliability, like you said.
Small in size.
Yes.
The fact that it wheelies all the bloody time until they just in Series 7 they realised maybe we should stop doing the wheelie thing
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
and put a kickdown thing on it. But yeah, to be honest though, I think it was more of a case of Thermidor got a bad draw because Prizefighter is just so it hugs the floor so well.
It was so durable as well. That was the thing. It just never has good luck, does it? I mean,
And then it came back in Series 8, and then it died again.
yeah.
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing about. I think this is probably Thermidor's also worst loss because Prizefighter didn't KO Thermidor. They KO'd themselves. The robot self-righted and it killed itself.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad loss for Thermidor. It's just...
It killed itself doing the thing that flippers can do.
Yeah, Dan Tomke has done that a few times as well. And it's just... I find it weird that robots can kill themselves with their own weapon, like, especially flippers. Especially, I mean,
Can you imagine
self-writing.
if Apollo or Bronco did that?
Oh my god, that'd be quite embarrassing. Not like anyone else has done that before. But Thermidor 2, it's unreliable, but I have a soft spot for it, even if it's kind of iffy at times with its reliability.
Thermidor 2, that's what I call it.
I will say this. I was kind of heartbroken when they got rid of the iconic face for Series 8 and gave it sort of like a vampire look.
Yeah, it doesn't look as
Oh
good
yeah, that
as
was
it.
a bit shit.
Yeah, it wasn't the best look.
And coloured it orange as well, and I was just like, what have you done to it?
It's
I think that's all they did to it.
Yeah, that's literally pretty much all they did to that robot. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a rumour that they didn't even know what Hardox was. I mean, if that's true or not, but if it is, then wow.
I mean, it was great. It was great to see him back.
Yeah,
You can tell that they literally only came back. They only came back literally because it was on TV again. That's literally they obviously hadn't followed the bloody show in years. They really hadn't.
You could tell.
Offense to them,
You could tell like robots like Behemoth who had been competing on the live circuit versus robots like Thermidor and Crustacean who just came back as they were, and then got completely ripped open. So it's a shame, but what are you gonna do? And then of course the final robot, which I think is probably one of the best first round losers ever, was in Series 5 was Trouble and Strife.
This was a sad story.
Yeah, because I mean,
They had some trouble and then they got Strife.
yeah, they actually weren't. I said in the last heat, but I'm still impressed at how much they managed to fit into this robot. Like a fully pressure flipper and a really powerful flywheel at the back.
A petrol-powered flywheel as well.
And it's still not at the weight limit. They could add 3 kilograms onto it if they wanted to.
It made look like a wee little crocodile.
Its biggest problem really was its wheels.
The only problem, the big problem it had though, is that they just the design just meant it couldn't drive for shit.
No, it really that was its aggressiveness was only solely based on a robot coming at it. It was very hard for the robot to be aggressive itself. That's probably the reason why they lost ultimately, because Wild Thing was way more aggressive than them.
And knowing this team, it probably
go on.
And knowing this team, it probably would have worked really well in one fight and then never worked again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the thing. No matter how well Trouble and Strife did in this first battle, if it did win, I don't see it. I could never see it winning the heat.
No.
Because it's got very poor drive and it can't self-right.
I mean, it would own Napalm. I think we can agree with that.
No, well, the thing
It would
is,
twat Napalm.
it should on paper twat Napalm, but we have to remember this is Napalm, which wins by losing.
That is true.
Ah, yes, of course. It is Napalm after all. Yeah. God, imagine Prizefighter versus Napalm in the Heat final. Holy fuck.
Every time that name is mentioned, a fairy dies a horrible death.
We've killed a lot of them.
Good thing fairies don't exist then, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's
every time Napalm is mentioned, an angel gets AIDS. Anyway.
Fucking hell. But
every time napalm is mentioned, the fairy actually has napalm poured onto them.
Okay, we're getting really dark now. I mean,
just like Napalm's color scheme.
Hi-oh. But Trouble and Strife, again, its locomotion was really its only weakness, because it had everything there, it just couldn't really move for shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I said, it was really good having like weapons where it had basically only 2 really small parts of the robot which had no weapon.
Yeah,
that you could attack.
Yeah,
but then again, what let it down was the fact that its armor was just it was tinfoil basically.
Yeah, if against a real spinner, it probably would have just died. Imagine it going if it was against Tentijester, one of its wheels just destroyed and it would be dead.
Well, when Wild Thing ran it into Matilda, it just got a huge gash on the side of it.
Yeah, it did. Its armor wasn't really made of any. It looks like plastic. I mean, I know it's obviously on TV, it is metal, but it just looks very kind of cheap. The actual metal they were using. But I can definitely say it was one of the better first round losers. I mean, hell, coming off from robots like Gazundabot and stuff and Rohog, I'll take this thing any day. Fucking hell.
Oh god, yes.
God, I mean, it's probably it's definitely in the top 5 best ones that lost in the first round, but.
And then you get robots in the future like Twister and fucking.
Oh, Christ.
Oh god, and Kryptonite.
Fucking the Executioner.
And aren't we forgetting Jim's B
Of course,
Is-
yes, Monad, yes, my bae. But
Oh, so he's allowed to mention it, but whenever I do, I get told off.
it was called a joke, Wayne, don't worry, you can say as much as you want. But we'll get into the highlights of the first round, and I want to get it out of the way, because I know Wayne's going to cry and piss himself and get really annoyed about it. Napalm versus Warhog. Let's just talk about it.
I agree that it's the worst. I
Okay,
agree that it's the worst ever fighting robot was.
Of the
is.
classic series.
It is one of the worst. It is, if not the worst. It's so literally right. Nothing happens. It is the only battle I can think of where two robots actually come into contact with one another and fuck all happens. Nada, zilch, fuck all, buggery. Literally nothing. It's infuriatingly boring. Nothing. Literally, they just bump into each other a few times. Freaking Warhog dies in the flame pit because that's a thing that can happen apparently if you're the Spider and Warhog. And then, just to really piss me off, Napalm then dies as well. So we have to have a fucking judge's decision. How the hell the judges judge that? I will never know because nothing happened. Jesus Christ! And what is it with robots that Napalm faces, by the way, dying on the flame pit? What the fuck? Seriously, this is... Oh my god. I will actually rather watch Cunning Plan versus Bugs for 20 minutes on repeat than watch this ever again. It is that bad. Rant over.
So the next fight was Alien versus.
Okay.
I don't think anything else needs to be said.
I was good. The only thing I was going to say was that this was sort of like the standard for bad battles of the classic series, and then the only battle to ever come close was Foxic versus Mr. Speed Squared. That was the only thing.
Ironically, Mr. Speed Square's team is in this heat.
That's true. That's the thing. They both appeared.
Isn't this also one of the few robot fights that went to the judge's decision where they didn't even bother to show highlights?
Well, there was no highlights. Nothing happened. Alanson is right. They bumped into each other, then they both died.
They managed to make
Yes,
highlights out of
but
Series 1 judges' decisions. They couldn't make highlights out of this.
Here's the highlights, guys. Okay, right, now for the decision. There was no highlights.
I think
hang on. There was Megamorg versus Plunderbird. That didn't have any highlights shown for it. And I also, if I'm right in thinking, in Series 6 Heat A they didn't show any for the second four-way melee. But I don't know whether that was because of time constraints or because there was nothing to show. But to be honest, I mean, Dougal catching fire, surely that was worth showing in a highlight reel.
I would have shouted. I would watch that many times. But I can echo what Anne says, a little bit less ranty.
Yes.
I knew that was going to come, so I was just waiting for it. This is what I wanted to get over and done with. I mean, Owain, do you want to say anything? Alex?
I just feel sorry for the audience who probably had to watch 5 minutes of that crap.
Actually, I want to know if Sam saw this one. I really want to know if Sam saw this.
I'm gonna go with Prizefighter into the bath of it.
I don't think he did. I think he only watched the Heat finals and semi-finals, but I'm not too sure.
Actually, I have to before we move on to any other highlights, I have to put the quote from JP as probably the most succinct way of summing it up. Are we watching this in slow motion?
Well, my best one was I don't think they really need a pocket calculator to calculate all the points.
This is most
Actually,
curious.
honestly, I really do. I want to know what the judges literally had to go on because there was nothing.
No, I mean the only thing that happened is that Napalm slightly nudged Warhog. That is the only thing that probably even gave.
Napalm won on aggression,
and also technically Warhog did die first, which is sad to hear.
That there like does
for everything this fight could have been.
I know. Everything. I mean, even if Warhog had died after one hit and got loads of damage in Napalm, at least something would have happened. Not
what Alex
this.
Sorry. What Alex just said, by the way, does actually sum up this battle though. Napalm won on aggression. Napalm, the most slow, plodding old lady just waiting for death robot there ever has been, won on aggression of all things. For fuck's sake.
We will move on.
I mean,
How much do you want? How much do you actually want to bet the Napalm is just an old lady in a wheelchair that they just stuck a tinfoil shell over?
It's got a it's powered by 2 hamsters.
I mean, Granny's Revenge had more mobility than this thing.
I did turn around and say
On what Alex said, it's powered by 2 hamsters, but one of the hamsters is dead.
I did turn around and say that Detonator in Series 1 was powered by a hamster wheel, hence why I had that on it so it could breathe.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Yeah, the hamster got tired in the second round. Other highlights include Thermidor dying, killing itself. I mean,
how do you do that?
I don't know. I mean,
it drove back.
Semi-finalist.
Died.
It was a good back and forth though for a while.
Well, actually, it wasn't back and forth. It was 1/4. Like Thermidor got 1 flip on Prizefighter, and then Prizefighter just spent the rest of the fight just tipping over Thermidor because it just kept wheeling up the front.
Yep.
Yeah. And also the very, very close match between Wild Thing and Trouble and Strife.
Oh, very good.
That was good.
This was a really good battle. Two great machines. Well, okay, a really good machine. 2 really good machines, though. Fair enough. Battling it out.
I mean, looking back at the fight, Trouble and Strife didn't really move at all. This most movement was Wild Thing pushing it around. But yeah.
They managed to bend the wheel by flipping it, which is pretty impressive. And also, considering the fact this is the first battle of the heat, and normally I'm accustomed to like most of the first round robots being pretty crap up to this point, and then suddenly out of
they
nowhere,
usually shove a shit robot in with a seed.
yeah,
the top seed of the episode.
Yeah, and then right off the bat, holy shit, this thing actually for the first half is at least holding its own against the seed, and then causing some damage to it. It's like what parallel universe am I in right now?
They should have replaced Trouble and Strife. They should have swapped, Trouble and Strife and Warhog around. Oh no, Trouble and Strife and Napalm around. So that way, Trouble and Strife could go up against Warhog. So if it did forget to plug them in, doesn't matter. They can still get in there and actually be up against.
Or better yet, have the Alien fight Napalm because they're like, oh, it's a new spinner. We could show it off like this way.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and then Warhog. But then we get Warhog versus Velociriptor. That would be just a shit.
At least Velociriptor would move.
That's true. That is true.
Hey, Velociriptor might actually win a fight, eh?
Nah, Velociriptor ends up in the pit at the end, which is probably one of the funniest images of. I might use that for the thumbnail. Just like it looks so angry, is it looking down at the pit? Like I'm in the pit again. He looks so pissed
Why
off.
don't I work?
It really says something when Velociriptor's biggest achievement was winning a soccer match.
Yeah, it was a really cool goal, but that was it.
And it broke down in the final.
Yeah. It broke down and lost to Evil Weevil, who couldn't do shit all again with the ball. So
I remember the first time I ever watched Series 4 Heat B, and I was so convinced Velociriptor would win, just because Robo Chicken was literally being eaten alive by Razor, and then Razor just had to get the battery on Velociriptor, and it died in the last minute. And I was just like, oh god damn it!
How brilliant! So yeah, I guess that's the highlights from round 1. Round 2, Napalm died in last second.
Yay! Moving on. We don't have to talk about it ever again.
No.
There you go. That means Wild Thing's flywheel did some damage. It literally hit Napalm once and killed it, and then it pushed it in the pit.
I mean,
I really like Mike when Mike watched this episode. He's like, "This should be the most straightforward fight for Wild Thing. Wild Thing hits Napalm, it dies." And it is.
Yeah, it's got some age. I mean, thankfully, as Wayne said, we don't have to talk about it again.
Napalm.
No, the last time we ever saw Napalm.
And it was as anticlimactic as it should be. I mean, at least, Prizefighter Mach 2 versus the Alien. I just love, again, I mentioned this before, but I love the little flick on the Alien. It just goes over so perfectly.
So good. It just pirouettes as it goes over, doesn't it? It's beautiful. And to be fair, right, you have to feel bad for the Alien team here. The only reason their streaming failed to work is because they kept landing on their hammer.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if the hammer's straight, it'll be able to use the lifter. But because it kept landing on the head of the hammer, its lifting streamer couldn't gain any purchase, so it kept doing that sort of Wild Thing-esque slash mortis lifting arm thing going on.
Yeah, it was very unlucky because it actually self-righted later in the battle, but it was too late by then.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, in fairness, the weapon wasn't going to do much because it couldn't even really hit Prizefighter, the weapon. It just kind of danced around it for a bit. But
Prizefighter really was the wrong shape to have any damage done to it by the alien.
yeah, it was too smooth and too much of a wedge.
Well, it was polycarb, so I'm not entirely sure. So,
Well, it's more the shape rather than the actual weapon. I mean, if I had purchased at the back of the robot, it might have been able to hit it, but never got a chance. And then the Heat final.
That's Heat Final of Series 5, but that's not really saying much considering the rest of the lineup.
True. I mean, it's the only one that goes to judge decision, as we said. And it was a first half Prizefighter domination, second half Wild Thing domination.
So basically, a bog standard Wild Thing match.
yeah, Wild Thing does what it does best. It gets the shit kicked out of it and then comes back.
The bit...
You know, sorry, go on.
I'll say the bit that shocked me is when Wild Thing almost got stuck on its side.
Yes, it almost got counted out because obviously, like you say, you don't see it all because obviously it's edited down. But Leftbot actually moved in and was about to start counting it out when they fell back down again. And it's like, that's how close Prizefighter was to winning this Heat final. And then, of course, it's broken.
I think I'd be pissed off as well.
In all fairness, right, this match is very close. To the point where it's one of the few judges' decisions where every time I watch it, I think differently. Like, sometimes I watch it and think, oh yeah, Prizefighter, I deserve that. And then other times I watch it and think, actually, to be fair, Wild Thing did do a heck of a lot and probably did deserve it. It's one of them, which one do you go for? Because Prizefighter, like I said, it dominated the first half and it nearly had a KO victory. But then towards the end, its flipper was broken, so that counts as towards damage points for Wild Thing. And Wild Thing basically owned it, pushing it around the arena, used lots of aggression, control, 3 things that the judges score highly on. It's one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the worst thing is Wild Thing got stuck on its side, and they usually have spikes on the side. They just took them off for this fight or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a very close one.
Yeah. Maybe someone should do a fight court about it?
Not looking at anyone in particular. Mike! But
Maybe someone's waiting for videos from his friends to actually do the next fight court?
Interesting. Maybe. No, just not hinting at anything there at all. But this was...
Wait, you know what I mean?
This is genuinely my favourite Heat final, because again, it was the only judge decision one, but also... It just shows you that it was such a shame that Prizefighter never came back, I guess. But you can understand their frustration in a way, because it was so close.
Yeah, he was so pissed off when it... Like, you can tell, even Craig didn't agree with it, because he shook his head before announcing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's one of them... It is, it's one of them... Do you or don't you agree?
I mean, the first thing Craig said to Prizefighter was, I bet you feel cheated.
Oh,
and he literally said without even breaking a smile, yep.
Yeah.
He's like, alright, you're not going to beat around the bush about this, you literally feel cheated. Okay, fair enough, Roy.
I mean, it's one of those things where some people do think that the seeds get slightly more treatment in battles. I personally don't agree with this, because really, it's all about the battle. In this case, it was just so close. I wouldn't say Wild Thing got in just because they were seeded. It was a good battle.
But Bolt from the Blue clearly won that fight.
Oh no, yeah, no, made a cake about it, that's how much they cared. I'd never understand why people defend that one. I don't know people defend that fight.
I love the fact the guy's still salty about that.
No!
Bolt from the Blue versus Daisy Chopper, battle of the salty ass team.
Shame we never saw Daisy.
No, we won that fight. No, we won that fight. No, we won that fight.
Just happened.
But I love it. You're going to come back next year, or maybe.
Spoilers, they didn't.
They did. Yeah. Thank fuck, because not being funny, Bolt for the Blue wasn't that good.
No.
And if you want watching, you're a salty sack. Deal with it. You're lost fair and square. You miserable twat. There we go.
It's true.
But yeah, I mean, speaking of will they come back next year, like when Craig asked you they're going to come back next year, you could see how just fuming he was, because he was, well, yeah, we'll just make sure we drive more aggressively next time.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Out of 10, then, what would people give this episode? Because I would give it like maybe a 7, because at least it was entertaining.
Tough, because at one point it's got 2 very good battles in it, and one of which is, I think, kind of the battle of the series. But it's also got Napalm versus Warhog in it, which is one of the worst battles of all time, so that definitely outweighs it a little bit. I'd probably go 6 out of 10 myself.
6?
I would go 7 because it is one fight, but it is a bad one.
The reason why I say that is because obviously the way I look at it also is Napalm versus Wild Thing, Prizefighter versus the Alien, and the Alien versus Velociraptor are all pretty just meh battles. They don't really add any substance to it, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
That's why I'm basing it on 4 battles.
Oh, just another thing I realised, just to quickly put that, when they do those like team intro things in the second round, you could, David Crosby still hasn't learned not to take the controls, because when they were doing when Claire was doing the intro talking about Napalm, he interrupts her.
Forever habits don't die hard, do they?
Damn it!
Yes.
Out of 10, what would you give it then, Owain?
I will give it a serious rating this time, which is not a word I use normally. Considering there's 2 really good matches, whilst there's also a fucking horrible one, I give it a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Okay.
The two matches that are really good, Wild Thing versus Trouble and Strife and Wild Thing versus Prizefighter, balance out the match that is worse than Satan's Hellspawn. So it's a 50 match for me. So a 50-50 episode for me.
Fair enough. Okay, so I guess
seriously, fuck that fight and everything it stands for. I cannot believe that fight made it to TV.
I guess for that we'll talk briefly about the robots then. Of course, this next heat is Heat F, and there's some odd robots in this one. Some odd ones. I'm particularly looking at the Team Death robot. We'll get to that one in a sec. But of course, the winner is Dominator 2. Now with wheels covered up. That'll help against Hypnodisc. I hope. I mean, in possibly one of the most dull, anticlimactic endings to a battle, but
to be fair, that wasn't their fault.
No, I'm not saying it was their fault, but it was still a rubbish ending. I mean, Dominator 2. There's not, apart from the sides of it, there really hasn't much changed from the Series 4 version.
Well, no, I do think the axe looked like it was weaker.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I don't know. It just didn't look as strong as it did in Series 4.
I think it's just because of the armor. I think it's just because of the armor upgrades.
It probably is. I mean, I don't notice a difference too much on the power of it, but again, maybe it's just heavier. Perhaps.
Yeah.
That could be the thing.
Series 6 they changed it. I forget how powerful the Series 6 one was because everyone just thinks of terahertz, but the Series 6 Dominator was so powerful as well.
Yeah, I was very.
The Series 6 Dominator was very lucky, is what it was. It was powerful, but don't get me wrong, but it was lucky as hell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Looks part of it.
I was just saying it was, but the weapon definitely had a ton of power to it.
Yeah, but hang on, James. Luck's part of it, and then there's this. I mean, for fuck's sake, okay, just quickly. It's first round battle, right? Hydra does all the work. It does nothing. Right? In its second round battle, Smidgey owns it and then dies because Growler runs into it. In its heat final, Hydra... Again, Hydra does all the work in the heat final and then just dies at the end. And then again, Bigger Brother owns them, and then again just starts slowing down for no reason, and Dominator 2 comes back, and then it finally does it, and then it nearly beats Tornado by luck as well.
Well, to be fair, against Hydra in the heat final, it was Dominator's damage because they hit the battery with the axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but come on, literally out of nowhere, and it was again, there's like a 1 in 100 hit. Come on, that's lucky.
Dominator is very good at that, though, Anderson.
Yes.
No, it was. Yeah, Henry will. Or Henry 2, sorry, will agree with you on that one. Oh, I do
And
like
Derek.
Dominator 2, though.
Yeah.
And Derek. I do like Dominator 2. It's one of those axes, though. It does. It just manages to always hit you right where it needs to hit you.
Yeah, the runner-up, of course, was Corkscrew.
Oh,
I
fucking
like
hell.
Corkscrew.
It's-
I really like Corkscrew.
I really like Corkscrew when it works.
In Series 6,
Yes!
it was so lucky in Series 6, though, let's just be honest.
Oh, it was.
6, it was awesome for all of 5 seconds.
Yeah, and then, of course, it just... Was it who was it? Was it Chronic or something that hit the...
Yeah,
Right,
Corkscrew
bounced into the pit.
Exactly.
and then just one that drove over it. I missed
And
that.
then, and then they went. And
It
then they went
literally was a carbide Behemoth thing because the Chronic hit the pit release, Corkscrew hit Chronic, and then obviously then the Force pushed it to the pit.
I will say I do miss the kilt from Series 6. I did like that.
Illegal entanglement device.
That might be maybe the reason why I went. I don't know, but I
I'm
also
kidding. I don't care.
also the springy corkscrew in the top's always fun. I don't know why, but I just liked it when any axe got caught in it.
Yes.
I liked about Corkscrew was the fucking damage it was able to do to Panic Attack.
Yeah,
That's like
I was Panic Attack
that's the
Gold,
most.
mind you.
I'm not sure whether that's the most damage we've ever seen done to Panic Attack.
Well,
I know
Matilda in its heat final.
I know it gets top ripped off in the heat final of that episode, but is that more or less than what we saw Corkscrew do to it?
Well, Corkscrew would want the side skirt off.
Yeah.
They just ripped the side skirt off, that's it. So
It damaged the front as well.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
slightly buckled it, yeah.
Oh, okay. But it definitely had the potential to do well. Let's just say, and then the Series 7 one, it didn't work.
It must have broken just before the fight started, because when they talked about it in the pit, it said like, "Oh, it's so fast it'll look like it's not moving." So it was like he knew it wasn't working.
Yeah. Because Jonathan Pierce's commentary as well, he was like, he went, look at it. It looks so fast that it doesn't look like it's spinning. It's not spinning, is it, John? Let's be honest now.
Actually, bear in mind, in the Commonwealth Carnage in Series 6, they actually ripped off a side panel of Matilda on the front. So
They did.
they actually
Took out the entire corner of Bondi Tit.
yeah, just one panel just ripped off entirely. That was a loner bot, mind you, but still, it was still decent damage for. It showed what Series 6 one could have done if it had survived past the first round. But
I honestly think it
and
probably could have won that heat as well, because it could have easily beaten Terahertz.
Oh yeah.
I think it probably could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in Series 7, they went and said, "Why go with what works when we can go with something that doesn't even work?"
Yeah.
They made Mr. Speed Squared, and like Mr. Speed Squared, it didn't work.
Yeah, it's pretty much very similar to Mr. Speed Squared, doesn't it? Then
And
there's
that robot would later go on to become Hammerhead in the independent circuit.
oh yeah, it did, didn't it? Then we have Exterminator, the second version of Exterminator to appear in Series 5 and Extreme.
Oh man, this was such a shit run, wasn't it?
This is probably the most depressing run for Exterminator, considering the fact that, like, in every other series, they usually lose to, like, a legitimately decent robot, while here, I'm not saying Corkscrew's bad, but they lost to a first-timer Corkscrew and almost tipped themselves over on Immortalis.
Like the thing they destroyed the wedge in the fight with Immortalis because they couldn't, like, I'm guessing they just bent it so badly that it couldn't drive forward without digging into the ground. So then in the next fight they didn't repair it, they just put a block of wood on it.
It gets even worse when you say the line, "They lost to a full-body spinner that wasn't spinning."
Yeah.
They must have been having drive issues or something. Well, yeah, they were having drive issues.
That wooden blocker there has caused splinters to jam up their front wheel. That's what happened.
They pulled a Nasty Warrior.
Yeah, on themselves. I mean, yeah, Exterminator just... For Series 5 and 6, Exterminator really just didn't have a very powerful run in anything. Like, it was barely dominating pretty much any match it was in. I mean, this thing got pushed back by Megahertz 2 at one point. should we forget? So it's really...
It bent its own axe sideways in the tag team terror to the point where they couldn't bend it back.
And in Series 7, they actually started winning because they... and jokingly, I like to call it they sold out. Fuck it, our axe isn't working, just put a giant fucking spinner on it, and then it worked most of the time, so that was good. But Exterminator in Series 5 and 6 was probably one that is like a... It was... I just missed the Series 3 one so much, and it was really fast and maneuverable and stuff. And
well, you do get to see the Series 3 one again, as I see you.
Oh, yay. Wonderful. We get to see it twice in Series 6 and in the New Blood tournament, so even better.
And, that literally was a reskin Exterminator 3 from the same family. I can't believe it.
His mum...
I was joking.
No, yeah, that was it. No, yeah, that was it. Literally, yeah, it was his. Yeah. It was his mum, dad, and brother.
You can tell by the names and also by the look of it. It's pretty much the same robot. Come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can actually tell, but what you can quite. I mean, his brother. It looks like a younger, non-mustached version of him. It literally, it's quite scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. But then, of course, we have King B Powerworks. The Powerworks is coming in now. Usual reliability.
It's no longer a Magic Roundabout character. It's now the guy that sells illegal fireworks.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with the team now. Just naming
it didn't break down this heat though. It just didn't. It just got a really bad draw.
Yeah, I mean, Dominator 2 is probably the worst robot I could have faced. In all honesty, because it's just hits after hit on the top of it, and I don't know why they've started naming the robot after random things now. I know it's just Powerworks, and then it was
Remix.
Yeah, and Remix. Yeah, they just decided. Yeah, I love King B.
Next up, is King B Salsa or something stupid like that.
Just have a dartboard with random names, and the next King B is going to be King B Dutch.
And the next series is going to be King B Cauliflower. Fair enough then.
The next series is going to be
King BBB.
King B Trump for president.
King B for president.
This one's going to be King B Colgate Cavity Protection Caries toothpaste.
Wait a minute. And then at that point, Simon's wife was like, "You stop throwing darts around the house."
The next one's going to be King B. King
B squared.
And the next one is going to be
King B cancelled.
Oh. But yeah, King B. It's not too different from the Series 4 version in a sense, but
I thought it was a new robot.
It's
or
new.
Was it just a beefed up.
Oh, it's new.
Chassis? Oh,
it's still a new robot, but its design was very similar from there on. Basically, from Series 4 onwards, the design basically stuck with that. Again, it's one of the few times it wasn't unreliable. It wasn't skidding around the arena and spinning around all over the place like it likes to do sometimes. But just a bad draw, really. At the end of the day, I mean, it could have done alright if it was against a different robot. Like switch it out maybe with Corkscrew. It might have been alright actually. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Especially when the spinner stopped working, but I don't know. Then we have the first appearance of John Denny since Series 2 with 13 Black.
Just wait for the next series.
Yeah, just one more series to go before they can.
Just imagine it. Imagine the first time you ever saw 13 Black like this. Could you possibly predict that would be the robot to retire Chaos 2 and Dominator 2?
I wouldn't, and also one of the few robots that's ever done physical damage to Razor.
Yeah. They knocked the tip off of Razor's beak.
They knocked the tip off, they broke one of the self-righting arms, and did a massive hole in the side. In one bow.
It just shows that Razor wasn't really... That's why Razor never really fought a vertical spinner, because it was probably the only weapon type it couldn't probably fight.
Yeah.
That's why... Yeah. I mean, really, the only reason that 13 Black lost that fight is because John Denny wasn't a very good driver and drove it and got it stuck in the wall.
Yeah. Pretty much.
No offense, John. Sorry, I know we're friends on Facebook, but looking at your face, you did have a problem with not knowing which way it was facing.
Yeah, it's not the most obvious robot to show where the front is. Like, unless you know which wheel is supposed to be the front one, then I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, any other comments on 13 Black?
It's an amazing robot, and they trolled us all by teasing a pullback.
Oh,
Yeah, the bastards.
Oh, I remember that.
But that would have been awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because if you looked at this thing and gone, this was Limpet.
And it went on to become heavy metal.
Which I'm not that big of a fan of.
And he's remaking Limpet.
Oh yeah, he's making a heavyweight, or is it a lightweight version?
It's a heavyweight.
Oh wow.
He already has a lightweight Limpet.
Oh yeah, he does a little
The
time.
version of it. He has the beetle weight. On it, no.
The robot that decided.
Why would you remake Limpet when you got 13 Black?
Because Limpet is a very basic and cheap thing to take around the live circuit.
Yeah, and also bear in mind that Limpet was the first robot, I believe, to ever put bait for the house robots by putting a bit of bread on it. And it worked to charm as Sir Carlot ripped through the tracks.
And that was the inspiration for Nemesis putting the kebab on their robot.
Yeah, that was amazing. Then we have
This is literally the story on the wiki. John Denny went to the kitchen area to get some tinfoil to put around the robot's electrics to protect it from heat, and for just some random reasons left a piece of bread on the robot. The Nemesis team looked over, saw that they had a piece of bread on the robot, and then they stuck a kebab on the top of theirs.
Like the Nemesis is one to do.
That's pretty good. We'll move on to a robot. I have to say it right, because otherwise you're pronouncing it wrong. It's Derek! It's got the exclamation mark on it, so I have to shout it.
I love the fact that Mike thought this was the successor for Eric when he first saw the name on the...
No, it's like Maverick and Rick, isn't it? It's like Maverick and Rick. Maverick and Rick is literally just the latter half of Maverick.
Yeah, it's weird. We've got Rick, Derek, and Maverick, and they're all made by different teams.
No, Maverick and Rick are the same team.
I meant to say Eric. Sorry, Eric, Eric, Derek, and Maverick. This is like, what the hell? I mean, also these guys won the best engineering award of Series 5.
Yeah, I don't get how the fuck they did that.
Because it was CNC porn. That's basically the only reason why. This was one of the first few CNC robots.
What is CNC? Sorry, I really don't...
Computer-aided design.
Ah, fair enough.
Ah, okay. That might be... I mean, in fairness, they did fit a lot into the robot, especially in the Series 6 version, into a very small robot. I mean, it had a flipper and
What did they do with that?
Nothing! Because they got flipped over in like 2 seconds.
And they had no air... Their aerial came off as well, which didn't help much.
And they put a lem in it for Series 6.
Did they?
They put a lem motor for the weapon.
Oh, man.
You know, the motors that they still use nowadays for power, like Supernova.
Holy shit.
Derek had one in it.
Holy
They're
shit.
pretty expensive as well.
And it was money well spent, clearly.
Yeah, a lem motor is about $3,000 or something like that.
Jesus fucking Christ, that made my wallet.
And all that for one fight.
And it got flipped over by Behemoth in 2 seconds. Beautiful. Then we have
They must have been so pissed.
more pissed than Prizefighter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for the Mortis team, that's just like, it's just the spending spree, that. Then we have Chronic, which is looking a lot more like Apollo now. Very much
It's
so.
getting there. It's getting there.
It's more so than the Series 4 version, which was a box with a flipping panel on the front of it.
God,
They also had a drinking problem because it clearly pronounced it loved beer.
Yeah.
Have you seen the picture on the wiki of the old the Series 4 Chronics insides? So much fucking empty space in that shit.
I know, it's hilarious. I will say this though, right? So go on.
No, say it did look like it was pretty much just a box.
Yeah.
You can fit a little person in there.
The thing about the beer, I love beer thing though, is actually because the team's from Beer in Devon.
Yeah, I know, but yeah.
Which is a really weird name for a place. Why would you name it Beer?
I can think of worse town names in the UK.
Hang on, here we go. Also, right, Chronic in Series 5 was designed on an Apple Mac. Yuck, disgusting. Using CAD software. Why didn't they get Best Engineering Award then, motherfuckers? Come on. They literally did just as bad as Derek. What the fuck?
No, they did better than Derek because their fight went to the judges.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Also, one thing makes me laugh also is that they had a featherweight which is sort of like a feminine version of Chronic with like lipstick and pink spikes, called Weed.
Well, actually, if you look at the picture of it, and if you look at its eyes, yeah, they're drug eyes.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they made a robot called Weed from beer. I just the greatest combination of things ever. And then finally, the Thing. They failed to qualify for Series 4 because we didn't get to see Team Death in Series 4. We finally get to see Team Death again. And what the hell did they create? This time they created...
A zombie. It's a zombie. Zombie Bumblebee. It's a zombie.
Yes, Immortalis.
I love the fact the mouth opens.
Yeah, it's appropriate for Halloween because we're near Halloween at this point, and they got the little Frankenstein monster mask thing on the front of it. I mean, it had those earthquake saws again. Deadly, I know. And the back of it...
What even is an earthquake saw?
It's literally just a hedge trimmer. They just called it an earthquake saw, but it is nothing but a hedge trimmer. It's like they put two of them on the back. They had the wedge at the front, and the thing couldn't even go forwards. It just kept spinning around all the time and barely moved. I will say, out of all the Team Death robots, this one looks like the most botched made, and that says a lot for Team Death, because I mean this thing just looks like they went to a scrapyard and just threw shit together, and then they made Immortalis.
That says a lot when one of the previous robots was literally made out of a microwave.
It does say a lot. I mean, I will say there's nothing more satisfying than watching Shunt just crack through the back of it.
It literally looks like The Walking Dead Thomas the Tank Engine edition.
Like some Mad Max robot or something. Oh, it's just there's so much useless shit on it. Like it's got pipes.
No, I tell you what Immortalis is. It's the demon train from Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks.
Oh my god, it is.
It's also got that really stupid spike that comes out of its forehead, and it's like, how tall do you think your opponents are going to be if you hit them with that thing? For Christ's sake, it's just. This thing also competed in techno games and died.
Yeah.
In the football event of all things, the Celestial Terror.
Yeah.
You can't make this shit up.
I will say this: the very first time I saw Immortalis when I was a kid, I didn't know it was Team Death. I thought it was the team that bought a spike in Series 3.
I can see that. And
they look so similar to me.
Also, I swear it has like really shitty self-writers on the side. They look like just pieces of like metal they just stuck onto the side of them, but they actually look like they're meant to be sort of a self-writer, and I don't know what they're supposed to be. You're
giving this team way too much credit, James.
I am.
You really think they thought of a self-writing mechanism for Immortalis?
No. I think
it's the same team that thought Metalis would be a good idea.
Yeah.
A little claw which can barely grab a hold of anything that's more than half a foot tall, and it lifts. I mean, again, what the hell was the actual idea concept of that? We're going to grab them, we're going to lift them up into the air with our whole body, meaning that we're going to be overbalanced and probably topple over. And we're not going to put a street deck on our robot either.
They must have seen Elvis and thought, there's an idea.
Yes.
But that's the thing, as I've seen their new robots at was that Robots Live Grantham for one day. They're it's basically I'll see if I can get a picture of it. I'll just send it to you after the chat.
I know which one you mean. It's like a red two-wheeled robot with a giant snow shovel on the front of it.
It's actually a crusher.
Oh, is it a crusher?
Like it's a jaw crusher, yeah.
I'm looking at a different robot then or something.
No, but it is. It's an orange cylinder with like. I'll just send a picture of it later. But yeah.
What the?
Yeah, it's
something.
I think it's. I mean, I've got to get going soon, so it's time to.
Immortalis is certainly something, but I guess
it wasn't immortal.
It wasn't immortal, no. I guess with that we'll end the episode then. So that'll be Heat F. I've forgotten who's joined me for that, but I'm sure I'll get my list out. I'm Jimjamatic, signing off.
There's no one teach you the rules, Guru.
I'm Alex, having to go to work.
And I hate you all.
I love you too. Bye.
You made me watch this episode, you piece of shit.